It's time for another episode of Tucson Means Business, featuring Tucson's top entrepreneurs and leaders in the business world. And now here's your host, Mark Bishop.
Tucson Means Business. Well, what is it? We spotlight Tucson business leaders. And I'm very fortunate today because this fellow for almost 15 years, Paul C. Bellows, has been Tucson's leading business consultant and leadership coach. He's the founder and CEO of a thriving advisory firm known as Be Good at Doing Good. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
That's a most unusual name, but you know what? I think after having talked to you with you for a little while now, I'm starting to see it, but we'll get right into it. Your passion. Wow. He's working with bold and compassionate entrepreneurs to help them grow their organization, create sustainable business models, and give back in big ways. Everybody wants to give back this day and age. What do you think's behind that, Paul?
I think it's a good practice to live like a smart human being. And giving back is part of being human. And it helps create loyal customers and people, long-term relationships with all types of people. So I think there's a strategic side to giving back, and I think there's just a fundamental human side that it feels good, it feels right, and there's something spectacular when you help somebody or a group and then they make something out of themselves that are unexpected for them and for yourself. So giving back, I think, is part of being successful, and everybody should find a way to give back in some form. Time, treasure, whatever they have, they should offer and give back in a way that helps others.
I think it's very wise advice right there. Help us to understand what you actually specialize in, because you're fairly diverse.
Over the years, I've kind of worked with lots of different entrepreneurs and business owners, and what I've kind of settled on in terms of my strengths and in terms of how I help business owners out is I really look for that business owner that's been in business, 5, 10, 15 years. They have a good product. They know themselves, but something's missing, right? They just can't get to the next level. Mm-hmm. So I walk them through my process. It's called SLAP, S-L-A-P.
Do you find them at all that they're bored with their own business,
sometimes,
or they're tired? Yeah.
Sometimes, they're in a transition, Mark, for some reason. Right? They're bored, they're tired, the product and services maybe aren't as exciting as they used to be. Maybe they're just tired of hiring and firing.
Okay, right. So there's a lot of factors in owning a business.
Yeah, and basically at the end of the day, they're looking to do something else in their business, or maybe they want to start another business. Mm-hmm. And so most of the business owners I work with, they come to me and say, Paul, I'm in a transition. I got something that's going on here that's pretty good. So either I got to make it better, or I need to exit, or I got to find somebody to run this so I can go do something else. So usually they're in a transition, and that's kind of my specialty, is helping successful business owners move up to another level that they can really make a big impact.
That's fabulous. We're listening to Paul Bellows, entrepreneur extraordinaire and a book writer of something new coming out we're going to be talking about. And of course, it's Tucson Means Business right here on Tucson Business Radio X, proudly sponsored by the 49ers Golf and Country Club. And thank you so much for the club for supporting this show. We've had wonderful guests on over the last year, and they will continue to do so. It's a lovely club. I could talk all day on it, but you got to go check it out yourself. If you don't play golf, it doesn't matter. It's friendly. You can swim. You can do the gym. Go to the Rincon Grill. It's all fabulous. Whichever thing you're looking for, you're going to find it there. And particularly if you're a family with kids, it really is a family environment. The 49ers Golf and Country Club. Okay? Now, let's talk.
Mark, can I interrupt?
Yeah, by all means.
Man, if somebody calls me or you and wants to know a little bit about what we're doing, I'll take them to lunch at the 49ers Golf Club. How about that? Will you join me?
That's cool, but I don't know if we might get a call on it because we haven't promoted the fact that you're going to be on today.
Well, eventually as we start getting
we do stream live, but it's all about the podcast, right? But hopefully, maybe you'll stick around and host your own show one day because you would do a lot of good, I tell you now.
But have some fun anyway.
Have some fun. Strategic planning, marketing, organizational restructuring, pricing, and financial projections. All of this is what you do. Leadership development, human resources, and green strategies. That's coming now into the fore, right?
The millennials require that we pay attention to the people, the planet. They want to make sure that the organizations that they're hiring, that's hiring them, that they're promoting, that they're buying from, are doing good things for not only bottom line, but the triple bottom line, right? What are they doing for the planet? What are they doing for the employees and people there? And hey, let's make some profit while we're doing it. But that sustainability effort is important, not just for growing your business. There's limited resources here. So we have to find ways to maximize those resources and get the most out of everything we're doing.
That's it, the planet. We can't take the attitude of, well, let the kids worry about it when we're gone.
That's right.
Speaking of kids, it usually comes from a marriage, and very nice lady sitting beside you. I believe her name is Sabrina.
Hello, Sabrina.
Hello.
Well,
hello. Are you girlfriend or wife? Which one are you?
Recently married.
We eloped back in April.
We eloped back in April.
Congratulations.
Thank you much.
Sabrina Bellows. You're from where originally?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, Phoenix. So you're Phoenician.
Yes.
All righty. Not a Tucsonan. All righty. I finally got that right, you know. A lot of people say Tucsonians.
I've lived all over the United States. Arizona's where it's at.
And where did you meet this fellow? What's so funny about that? Oh, my God. Where did you meet this fellow Bello? Tell me.
Oh, well,
Is it a secret?
I'll let him explain.
You've heard of online dating. Well, apparently both of us were shanghaied into setting up profiles. We've both been single for a little while, and we both set up some profiles, and of course went through a few conversations with a few ladies. But Sabrina was the only one that was intelligent and smart and sexy and
good looking
and just able to carry on a really interesting conversation. So that led to us going out.
Right back at you.
So there you go. It sort of jumped out off the screen of you, right? That's the way it is. I guess because you really don't know what you're getting, do you, in dating online? But a lot of people talk these days, don't they?
I think it's important to kind of chat, right?
Yeah.
And see if there's some connection there. If that's I'm all about the right fit, in business and in personal life. I'm 100% about understanding yourself and getting to know others. So she was a right fit.
Beautiful. Let's touch on that area. When you consult the businesses and organizations and save them thousands and make them thousands because of the changes, do you ever delve into their personal lives at the C-level suite? I mean, do you experience yourself in your marriage the tenacity it takes for a family to have to be maybe put aside when building a company, when building a business,
Well, the personal part of business is important because it's personal leadership. And if you're making decisions about work-life balance or who you're going to spend your time with and how you're going to grow your business, understanding all the relationships that you have is critical. So Sabrina's my partner. Right? She's my life partner, but I'm able to bounce off things with her for business and different ideas. And so we're growing this thing together as a partnership. So when I'm looking for somebody to work with in my life or my business, I'm looking for shared core values. I'm looking for shared interests. We're looking for, hey, are we on the same page and trying to do the right thing? And so partnership is critical to any business, and that includes personal. So yeah, we absolutely get into what I call personal leadership for that business owner. We understand what's going on in them, what's working, what's not working, and sometimes what's the problem in their business isn't the business. Right?
That's right.
It's all in their head.
In their head.
And if their confidence is lacking in their relationships, and the confidence is lacking in what they're doing with their family, and we've all done that, right? We've all made
at
poor
one
decisions.
time or another, my word.
But once that confidence is there, and you take right action, and you follow that up with the right relationship, you're going to get right results. You're going to get massive results. So when I meet with a business owner and they're struggling with their business, I'll look at the market plan and the hiring and who they're targeting, but I'm going to dive deep into them first. What is their why? What are they trying to accomplish? What makes them tick, basically? What makes them tick? I do assessments, but really I'm understanding to make sure that their why is lined up with their daily actions and what the purpose of the business is. If I get that alignment, they don't get bored. They don't get distressed. They don't get confused. They have a lot of clarity and alignment about this is my life, these are my relationships, and this is how I want to grow my business. And with that alignment comes massive results.
Sabrina, if you go out the studio door and turn left, the ladies is straight ahead. Your hand was up there? Is that what?
My hand was up because one of the first things that Paul did for us when we started hanging out was He gave me a personality assessment test.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Gave me a personality assessment test that showed where I was and where I was at and how my values aligned with his, and it really makes a huge difference.
Well, may I ask, were you married before this?
Yes, sir.
Was he married before this?
Yes, sir.
There's a reason I asked that, because it just bobbed into my mind, because if you're telling me this, he doesn't want to go through the first one a second time. So this is why he's giving you the test.
Absolutely.
To do.
It's important because...
Well, I hope you gave him one.
Well, of course he took a test. I got to see his results after he saw mine.
Talk about keeping it in the family.
That's right.
Oh, Sabrina Bellows. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Now, we were talking about strategic planning retreats.
Yeah.
That sounds like you go away and have a nice orgy for a weekend.
So sometimes, usually we try to focus on the business, but
Right.
there is always a level of fun and building relationships. So a planning retreat is when you step out of your work cycle and you take a team, an operational team or an executive team or the
Right.
owners, and you take them off site, right? Usually, to another city. And I have a whole, curriculum I walk them through. But at the end of this, they usually have a very strong, clear direction of, hey, this is where we want our business to be in 3 years. These are our goals for 1 year. This is our strengths, and these are the practical actions we need to take in the next month or two. So it is a lot of fun, and it takes a big commitment to go do it right.
Paul, I've seen it as with thousands of others in the movies, documentaries.
Yeah.
These corporations are taken away for motivational weekends with guys, and everybody's kumbaya and wonderful and walking across fire coals. But in the office, they had each other's guts.
Yeah.
How do you dig deep enough into that to straighten all of that out? How do you know?
Well, first of all, you got to be careful on the team that you already hire to bring to the retreat, right? The team has to at least be on the same page in terms of what is the company trying to accomplish? What is our role within the organization?
So management may say to you, look, Paul, that's the team I've got, okay?
Yeah.
Now, I haven't been here very long and I inherited them. But I've done so much with them, but I need you. You're the expert. I need you to do the rest.
Yep.
Now, can you take them away, please, bang their heads against any canoes you've got and bring them back ready to rock and roll? Do you get that challenge sort of thing? I mean...
sometimes that is the challenge.
Right.
And sometimes it's the challenge that they're not on the same page because they don't understand what
the page is.
What the page is. And they're all over they're all over the place doing their own thing. So I start with, hey, what do we agree on? So you want to get agreement on all the core values, right? Everything that's important to us to run our business, to make good decisions, to really retain our right fit customers. So we agree on the basics of the business philosophy. If you can't agree on strategy, you're never going to agree on tactics. Right? So
that makes sense. That's logical.
And so what happens at work is most people are disagreeing about tactical things, about the day-to-day operations. So we have to back them up, look at the bigger picture, get them an agreement about what's our purpose, what's our why, what's our vision, what's our individual goals and roles of making this small or medium-sized business successful. So we get everybody on the same page as that, and then I work them in different groups so that they all have a voice in developing that business plan, or doing a new campaign for marketing, or working on a merger or acquisition. We get them to agree together, to find consensus, and then when that comes together and it's clear, and there's excitement and there's purpose, and we can go find the resources, what happens is a lot of the tactical issues and a lot of the disagreements that people have go away.
Well, that sort of does arise this question now. You find a purpose, working things out together as a group, this and that. But I think the key thing that you said was they're heard. They can contribute and be heard. Now, whether it's silly, whether it's ridiculous, whether it's smart, whether it's ingenious, it doesn't matter. The key is they were listened to and they were heard. I now feel part of something. Therefore, I'm part of the team, and therefore I will go with the team now for us to get this thing done.
I think you're absolutely right.
Is that sort of along the track?
I think they're heard, but more than that, they understand that their voice has purpose in that meeting, And when you roll out an idea, everybody vets that idea, and then it's carried forward. That isn't about pride and ego, right? That's about strategy, and that's about coming together and working cooperatively as a team. And when that happens, then you have a team that isn't about me. It's about us.
Right.
And then but in order to have that idea, they have to have an idea of being heard. So before I do retreats, I always do a survey. And the survey asks them 10 questions. And the output of that survey is I can clearly see where we're aligned organizationally, strategically, with our customer service, and where there's gaps, right? Gaps in understanding, or gaps in goals, or gaps in how we work together. So that gives me some insight by doing these surveys. So I know going in, hey, this is some areas where we're not aligned, where there's some gaps, and I'll work on that to make sure that everybody gets on the same page. And the output of a retreat is a living strategic plan, but they've developed it to such a way that it's practical and everybody's had a voice. The execution becomes that much easier because I can mandate to you to go do something, or we can develop together. Which one's going to actually work is the one we develop together, not the one that's been told, mandated to me.
Or ran down my throat. I was part of the new creation. So when that does happen, there must be some, prolific changes that come out of people and come out of that business, out of that company.
I think usually, there's changes in terms of just, hey, we understand our clarity, we have our priorities, and there's some people that they're really excited and they want to jump on board and they want to make that happen. But sometimes out of those, it comes clarity that, hey, maybe I'm not a right fit for this company anymore.
Right.
And so changes happened on a positive side in terms of growth and people working together, but there's also changes in terms of people leaving and not being a fit anymore. And you know what? You want that. You want there to be understanding about should I be here or not?
Right. Yeah, that's good for everybody then.
Yeah.
Do you travel much with your work? Do you get to travel?
I don't travel as much as I used to. I do 4 or 5 trips a year. We'll be going to Seattle in a couple months, doing some retreats over there. I'll be going to Denver in February. So I did a lot of traveling for 15 years, Mark, and I was an international traveler, as you know, being
we're going
from
to talk
Australia.
about what your business was and what you did, because you've had to learn the hard way yourself. I mean, how on earth, it's all very well teaching others, but how did you learn to do that?
Yeah.
So
I definitely do some traveling, and I have people come to Tucson. I think Tucson's a nice enough place where I can have a destination.
Bring them here, yeah.
Planning retreats to come here, but I do travel as well.
The right time of the year.
And Sabrina, in the last year, we've gone to Canada and Mexico and a few other places for work, and so that's helped too. I want my beautiful partner along,
Well, very nice when you can have a business, and if you're happily married, to be able to take, your wife. You can leave the girlfriend at home that time, Sabrina, let me ask you this question. When you go with him and what have you, do you actually get involved?
Sometimes I'll help set up the area. But no, after I do the helping of setting up, I get to go and wander off in the woods while we're in Washington.
I'll go shopping.
No, I go hunt for different foliage in the woods.
Okay. All right. Go hug a few trees, maybe.
Absolutely.
I love hugging trees. I think there's something in there. What do you think about his book? Did you, help him? No, you can't do that. Yes, that sounds better. I mean,
I have listened to him as he's written his book, and it's interesting to watch an artist
at work
and do what they love. It's one of those things where he loves it, and then he's frustrated by it, and then he wants to change it.
Yeah, probably because he can't get it all in there. He can't express it.
That's exactly what it is.
It'll end up a War and Peace thing, 500 pages or something.
Oh, that's at 400 and I've stopped.
Oh, my God. So the book is called Be Good at Doing Good. All right, so tell us about that, please, Paul.
I started writing the book shortly after I became a consultant about 15 years ago. I said, I have a curriculum from other sources, but they were always incomplete. And so I said, I need to put something together that's kind of my voice, my philosophies, and my strategies. And so that was kind of the impetus to that. And then over a few years, when you sit there and consult and coach 30, 40 hours a week, you kind of hear your voice over and over again. Mm-hmm. And so I got to put something down because I kind of got tired of hearing my explanations for everything. So it was my way of writing down my curriculum, giving it to my clients in advance of our meeting so they could read, do some homework, and really maximize the time we were together. Right. And so that was the real reason is I wanted to put something that was uniquely mine and something that was just primarily for my clients that I was working with at the time. And it's grown and it's modified. And at the end of the day, it's just a book about creating a plan that's a purposeful plan for your business and your life, connecting those two, making sure that your business purpose and your personal purpose are aligned, and then building a world-class team around you, marketing to the right fit people, and then finding out, hey, do I want to grow this or do I want to sell it? So world-class businesses always have options. And that's what I help, Tucson businesses is an area where I do a lot of face-to-face coaching, consulting, and my purpose is to help as many business owners as I can be successful and do what they want to do, and take care of their employees and take care of their customers. And the book's about how to do that well.
Okay. The book is a transformational coaching and strategic planning guide for small business owners to be more, make more, give back more, and exit with more. And its final edits right now. It's going to be released soon, right?
We're final edits, which means we've dotting the I's and crossing the T's and putting in the comments. So I have an editor working on all that, and that's super exciting. And so by the end of the year, we are talking to publishers. Right now, I'm leaning towards self-publishing, but there's publishers out there. I just think that this is something I'll probably do myself. I would
love to be in your shoes from the standpoint of being able to travel and sign books and meet people. Because that's a lovely way to see America too. You know what I mean?
We definitely are going to have some book tours across America and hopefully throughout Asia too, where I just think it's a great place to travel and do business.
Well, I'm going to touch on that. It's going to be on sale, I guess, Amazon.
Yep.
Amazon, and where else would it be? I mean, your own site, of course. But does it go into bookstores these days, do you feel? Or?
There's a limited market for bookstore sales.
Yes.
And that's not a primary goal of mine.
Okay.
I think we'll do a lot through speaking engagements.
I was going to say, you'd have them right there with you, I think is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, you have a business degree from the University of Phoenix. And a master's degree in Asian Studies from the University of San Francisco.
That's right.
Do you feel you could have done just as well, perhaps, in your career without those degrees?
It was really important growing up that I get a degree or two, just for my own self-commitment and pride. So I always knew that I would, and I enjoy school. It was fun.
Right.
The business degree, I started at U of A. I owned a restaurant when I was really, really young, so I had to drop out of school, right? And so University of Phoenix allowed me to go to school at night. And I had great teachers. I had a great product. At the end of my business degree at the University of Phoenix, we had to have a full-blast business plan. And that business plan really led me to do some incredible ventures. And so I always, whenever I take a class or whenever I do any studies, I always try to find a practical solution to whatever I'm studying. Because, knowledge is not power, right? Applied knowledge is power.
Yes.
So we have to apply what we learn. So I liked, those degrees because I applied what I was working on right then and there in my business. And I've been able to apply it afterwards. The master's degree was more of, hey, I already have a business degree. I do a lot of traveling in Asia, and I wanted to learn more about the culture and the arts and the literature and the economics and the business,
Now, we talk about Asia. What do you call Asia?
Mostly, I call Asia Pacific Rim as well as
Okay.
China and Japan and Korea.
Okay.
And a
So
little
all
bit of
those
India.
countries, right?
Yeah. And
Okay.
Southeast Asia. Is
Do you
kind of my
speak
area.
any of the languages?
When I was in Thailand, I learned Thai pretty good when I was a kid.
Kapung klap.
Kapung Cup, Sabadi Magna Cup.
Yeah.
How are you?
yeah.
Thailand's they're great people, and it's easy to learn the language because they don't
Yeah,
care if you
the
mess it up.
Beautiful people.
Wonderful.
A lot of Australians go, of course,
Yes,
to
of course.
Thailand and, Indonesia, take it or leave it. But we used to go overland, Sumatra, Jakarta, up through India to get to Kangaroo Court
Yeah.
in England, where all the Aussies stayed. And Sabrina looks interesting there. She must have a story to tell us about that one. But no, a lot of Americans haven't been that far over, except for the
Right.
war years, of course. But, the New Yorkers tend to go down to Miami,
Right.
and then you've got, this side seems to go to California or San Diego anyway, and the Californian cities. So, but to go extra further again, and yet, I don't think in the time that I've spent in America, all up about 16 years now, that I haven't met many Americans that want to go down under. Just about 9 out of 10
Yeah.
want to go down under.
Yeah, I think so.
Australia, New Zealand, and so on. But now it's so far. It's not far, is it? It's a 12-hour flight, and you're there, boom. That's the way to do it. But would you live in Asia if you had the chance?
I think we'll probably end up with a settlement, if you will, a little abode in Thailand.
Yeah, very nice. Well, it's affordable.
Absolutely.
Very affordable.
It is affordable.
You could have a
and
mansion
great
there.
food and great people. And great
Sabrina,
beaches.
you've been there,
I have never been there.
so you don't know. You'll like it. Besides, you're with your honey. That's all that counts, right?
Well,
Now, you must get this next question all the time. 9 daughters, and of course you love them all, but did you always wish you had a boy? What's
I
the
tried
story?
4 times for a boy.
Okay.
He tried 5.
Now we're going to...
Let's get down to the truth.
Some
We
listener just
tried for
dropped.
boys multiple times, and this is God's crazy humor, and we ended up with 9 girls, but we do have a grandson now. So
Well, you've nearly got a cricket team.
Out of
alone.
5 grandchildren,
And you got
we
5
have
grandkids,
one
yeah.
grandson.
There you go. He must be spoiled to death, I tell you.
sure enough.
Your hobbies are sailing, cooking, sports, writing, and travel.
I think we're trying to add a little more travel to the equation there, but Sabrina's an awesome cook, so
Thank you.
and she really knows how to. She's really good with Spanish food and
That's
Cuban.
the travel I've been able to do.
Yeah.
I get to taste all different kinds of food from all over the world.
See,
to
I've
decide where I wanna
always
go.
said to young children, if they ask me, and my own son alone, travel is going to be the best education you could ever have.
Yeah.
Try to do it while you can and while you're young. Once you really do settle down in life, it can be a lot harder unless you've got a career, you've got a position or, your own firm or something that you can travel with. You're not going to get out of the downstate. Life gets in the way, So I think it's wonderful that you do that.
Thank you.
You're from where originally, Sabrina?
Phoenix, Arizona.
From Phoenix,
I'm
okay.
from Phoenix, but I've lived all over the United States. All different types of culture within the
Great
United
country.
States.
Well, mate, look at the dialects alone in the language
I
in
would-
50 states.
I would move to Texas.
They reckon I'm bad.
Yeah, no, I would move to Texas and they would say, "You talk funny. Where you come from?"
Oh, my God,
And then
yeah.
I'd move to Virginia and they would have a much more proper way of speaking. And then I'd get that accent down and we would travel to a new place where my dad was a carpenter. Factory, refinery, church, a school got built. We'd move on to the next
Okay.
project. So I got to taste a lot of.
Well, you weren't a military brat then, so per se. I mean, that didn't.
I was a military brat. She was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
construction brat.
So where were you from then, Paul, originally?
I was born in Denver, but my dad was a long time in the Army. So, we lived in Fort Lewis, Washington, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and Fort Huachuca. My parents met at Fort Huachuca in the 60s.
Okay, interesting.
So,
and what's it like for a military brat kid to go from one to one? Do you obviously have friends straight away because you're in the same boat, right? As these other kids, maybe.
Yeah, I always found that, you have to make friends quick, but sometimes the relationships weren't as deep. right?
Right,
So lots
okay.
of acquaintances, not a lot of deep friends, and so you do move around. And I always found the military kids, and my parents were missionaries too. And I graduated high school in Thailand. Military kids, missionary kids. I always find them to be a very interesting bunch, right? And very
disciplined
open
bunch, too.
thinkers. And
I mean, the sheer fact when you went to night school, it's very, very hard to go to a night school with all your friends. I went to media school for 5 years, never missed a night.
Yep.
When my friends were out partying and doing everything
Exactly.
else. It's
And
not easy.
may I add,
Yeah.
he owned his own business and had a wife and child at the time while he did this.
There you go. Well, that's what I mean. You see, that's dedication. Dedication and discipline. And that's needed today. That's why a lot of companies will look at vets, per se, before anybody else, because at least they're disciplined, And
vets and restaurant
it's a bit
managers.
different.
I tell my I tell my business owners, you need somebody to work hard. Find a vet or find somebody who's been running a restaurant, even if it's not in your field. As a previous restaurant owner, I could tell you those were hours. 80, 90 hours a week.
Yep.
It's kind of a crazy business for sure.
Very hard. You're listening to Tucson Means Business, specializing today with a one-guest show today. Well, two, I beg your pardon. Sabrina is on board. You weren't planned, but I'm glad you did. And see, there you go. You were nervous about nothing. Mark Bishop is my name. Our sponsor is the 49ers Golf and Country Club on Tankaverde Road, on the right-hand side, past the Emily Gray School, going towards Reddington. That's where it is. Yep. You can't miss it. Go through the brown gates and north. It's going to be south. East, north, west, whatever. You're going to see the Rincon Grill. It's like 30 feet away. Why should I be so pedantic? I don't know. But it's easy to find. Go on in, make yourself welcome, and you will be treated like royalty. That's Macca McKenzie. Mackenzie Taylor is the new executive chef and the new person that runs the joint. What are they called? Food and beverage managers.
Yeah.
What a job she does, too. Okay. And all the staff are very friendly, very kind. So go on in there and have a good time. And, of course, they bring us Tucson Means Business and this special one today with Paul C. Bellows. Now, what led you to become a business leadership coach in the first place, do you think?
I always had a passion for entrepreneurship, even when I was 20 and I had my first place. And when I sold I had a technology company, and I sold that, and I took a year off. And I said, what am I going to do now, right? And I looked at all these options, but at the end of the day, I really thought about what I loved and what my passion and purpose and why I was here. And I said, I like to do two things. I like to build world-class teams, and I like to build world-class strategies, and I like to connect those two.
Okay.
And when I do that for myself and others, it's a lot of fun, and it just really brings me a lot of excitement and joy. So I looked at lots of options, and finally I said, well, what is that when you can help people build teams and build strategies and make their business grow? And I said, well, that's a business consultant. And I had hired a business consultant when I had a merger, and I had acquired a larger tech company. So I brought this business consultant in, and I thought he was really helpful in terms of us understanding our culture and the organizational structure and our long-term marketing. And at the end of the day, I said, he did a pretty good job, but when I sell this business, I think I may look into that.
Yes.
And I think that's something that I could do really, really well. So that's kind of led into it. And that was, over 15 years ago, and I've never looked back, really.
Well, there you go. You were meant to do it. A lot of people have got coaches these days.
Sure.
They look at, I think, their business possibly from the inside out too much to where they can't see the wood for the trees.
Sure.
So they're calling on that help and support in doing that. Before you became this most successful coach, what businesses did you own then?
Well, the first business I was an accidental restaurateur here in town. And what that means is I was working in a restaurant, and over a year's time, I managed to buy it out, take it over.
Would our listeners know it? Did it have?
It was called the Rib Shacks, and it's not available now. But back in the '80s, there was several of them, and really good food. We won the best ribs in Arizona a couple times.
Very good.
So
you had more than one restaurant.
Yeah, we had several. And,
wow. Okay.
If you're going to learn about business, restaurants are not a bad way because you got to learn everything about,
Right.
your finance, about customers, about hiring, about branding. And so I love restaurants from that point
From
of
that
view.
perspective,
The things I learned then, I apply every day with my clients.
Very long hours, though, and quite frankly, there's a very thin margin, isn't there?
For most of them, very thin margins.
Very thin margins, but tough business. And it's very hard for them here in Tucson to a degree during the summer months.
And it was a long time ago, in the 80s. I remember writing about it back then, and
All right.
it was challenging then, too.
Your ideal client, people say, oh, look, I wish I could get this game. Okay, Paul Bellows, you're a top entrepreneur, but more importantly, you're a coach. You take businesses from there to there. You focus on the realities of people wanting to stay in business, wanting to be successful in business, wanting to be successful in life. You cover the whole gamut. But who's no good to you and who's really good to you
All right.
or for you? And don't give me, everybody's wonderful jazz. all right?
No, I'm very picky. I choose who I work with. I do. I think every business should be picky on who they, who they help and who they provide services and products for. Ultimately, I look for a couple of different characteristics. First of all, they got to be coachable. I mean, they have to be willing to learn and to explore themselves and explore other opportunities and ideas and be held accountable and look at their own mindset as well as understand and learn more about business and business strategies and business philosophy. So coachable is number one. The second, and I don't care really about the market they're in or the size of business or, the industry or sector. That's second to me is the business owner's mindset about, hey, I want to learn and I want to grow and I want to do this the right way. And, coaching done well allows them to really become the best version of themselves. So they got to be coachable. Number two, they got to have a real willpower. They got to have some drive in them that they're willing to work those hours and make those sacrifices and make the tough decisions and live boldly. To start a business, you gotta have some cojones, and you gotta want to make something more out of it. And then the final I guess characteristic or attribute they got to bring some positive attitude. That's just part of seeing the world through the lens of I can make a difference. I can shift my attitude from negative or neutral to positive. And so I'm looking at people that bring those three characteristics, and they can be running a $100,000 business or a $10 million business.
It doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter. They bring those things, and we're gonna make a difference.
So why do they hire you?
I think most of the people hiring me they're looking around and they're like, I brought this about as far as I know how, and I'm stuck. I'm stuck with my understanding of the business. I'm stuck perhaps with the team I got. Maybe I'm a little stuck with knowing what to do 5 years from now.
Okay, but let me intervene here. I need to ask you this. Looking through the eyes of a potential hire, a business guy, CEO, whatever.
Yeah.
I may be stuck in what I'm doing, but where's the credence that you know my business or would know what I don't know or can see it from a different perspective? How do I know you can take it forward? In the talk you have with me, in the preamble, what would I ask you? How would I interview you if you're the right coach? How does that work? I mean, it amazes me.
Sure. First of all, you have to make sure that the person, that coach you're talking to or consultant, has some validity to them, right? I mean, they just can't be in between jobs.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, because there's a coach on every corner, isn't there?
And there's some that do it in between jobs, and there's coaches for different things, right?
Okay.
I consider, if you notice my title, business consultant,
Yes.
leadership coach. So I consider myself to be very savvy with small business. Anything about a small business, I'm going to understand it at a pretty deep level. The coaching part is about your personal development, your leadership inside of you. So I think my little bit difference than most is I bring a deep knowledge of business with I'm equally curious about businesses and I am about human behavior. Right. So when you combine leadership and strategy, you kind of get that unique perspective. So if you're looking for a coach, find out if they're real, how long have they been doing it, what have they done in their past, what training do they have, what curriculum are they using, but mostly what questions are they asking you
Right.
that's making you think about everything. about everything that's important to you, perhaps your family, perhaps your mindset about Tucson. If you think Tucson's a poor town, it's a poor town. If you think Tucson's an abundant town, guess what? I find abundant people all the time to work.
Yeah, you are what you attract. There's no doubt about it.
Yes.
Yeah, Sabrina, he comes home. Is he ever frustrated?
Of course he gets frustrated. Of course he gets frustrated, but he's a great communicator. And that's one of the things that I needed in my life, was someone who could communicate with me in a way that I understood and that they understood me. And he comes home frustrated, nice dinner and a bath.
Frustration's gone.
Frustration's gone.
I'm waiting to hear when you listen to him, when he starts, how long in the door.
It's really nothing that I hear. It's more of the look.
Right.
You
Because that's a gift. If you've got partners like that, and you can walk in the door and you can share and you can talk it out. I'm in the bath and the bubble bath and even everything else is wonderful. But
little did I know I needed a consultant in my life as a life partner. And boy, have I been blessed. Huh?
But let's get this right. She's full of wisdom.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm a practical strategist. Let's get that. But she's wise.
There you go. She must be. Are you an Aries? Are you by any chance?
I'm Aquarius.
Okay.
Aquarius.
What are some of the biggest challenges that your clients face, do you think, Paul? I mean, are they similar to each other?
I think for the most part, there's probably about half a dozen major issues that people bring to me, and I look at both their challenges and their opportunities, right? Mm-hmm. And some of those challenges are, even in Tucson, is hiring the right people. For the right wages and the right fit.
That's a big challenge here. I mean, I get it all the time with the various guests I have on this show, and my other clients with their shows, their guests. It often comes up, and of course, the Chamber has a show, News from the Chamber. They're doing an awful lot of good work to try and promote new business into the city, which really means more jobs. It means a diversity of jobs for our students coming out of our schools, out of our universities, that don't have to go somewhere else, maybe. That can stay here and build a life. Because there's nobody I haven't met here just about that didn't go to university here, leave, see the world or America, go to corporate America, gain all the experiences, and then that great big magnet under the ground brings them back to Tucson.
I see it. I see it as well. And I did speak at an entrepreneurial group at the U of A recently, and I asked, and it was probably 60 students there, all grad and undergrad students, aspiring to be entrepreneurs, getting their degrees. And I said, all right, how many people here are graduating and going to start your own business and stay in Tucson? Out of those 60, there was like 3 that raised their hand.
Really?
Wow. And so
that's scary.
My individual purpose for Tucson is to create, an environment, a culture where entrepreneurs can start businesses where those top talented young people can stay. And that's a part of it. And there's groups, Startup Tucson and other organizations that are really doing a great job of that. So I do my part. But at the end of the day, Tucson's a town that has everything you would possibly want to live a good life. It just needs a little more entrepreneurial diversity to allow the students here to think, hey, I can stay here and do something really good and make an impact. I don't have to go to San Jose or, to Phoenix.
It does. And it does depend. I mean, I've got a good friend who works in the hospitality industry right now. He's a father and just little bubba. The reality is he wants to be a specific geologist. He can't do it here. Sure, he has to travel. Okay? So in his situation, he's got to leave.
Sure.
But the comparison of living here with the cost of living, I mean, we are below the rest of America median house price. I mean, we're $211,000 or something or other compared to, Struth, where I come from, it's $550. Imagine that.
Right? Wow.
I mean, you haven't got a chance unless you.
Bay Area's like that, if not.
Is it like that too? Yeah. What I'm getting at is, if we had more of a diverse range of jobs, is what we really need here. It's not all tech, because the robots will take them over anyway sooner or later. We don't want that. How are you going to coach a robot?
You're never going to coach a robot. They don't sound very coachable to me. I'm not a programmer, apparently.
Some of the biggest challenges that your clients face would be what?
Well, the hiring is one thing, and then most of my clients aren't high tech. I got a handful, but most of them are brick and mortar. They're local businesses, and so they're dealing with everyday things. How do I market to my right crowd? How do I find a population that really digs what I do? Because to me, the purpose of business, Mark, isn't to make money. The purpose of business is to create a loyal, right fit, long-term customer. If I can find a right fit customer that we're benefiting mutually from each other, I have a good chance of being in business with that guy for a long time.
Surviving in a better way than most.
Yeah, and that person, I provide enough value to him, they turn into my sales force. So long as I'm creating value for my customers, so a lot of our conversations have to do, how do we create a value for your customer where the experience for them is, wow. I want more of that. Yeah. That is something that I want more of, and they want to pay good money for that, and they want more of it. So how do we create that environment from the time you answer the phone to you go to the website to you experience their product or service? How do we blow them away? How do we wow them?
That's it, and it definitely works. Definitely works, because word of mouth, even in this modern day age, word of mouth is still the most powerful medium. And I love going to a couple of places for service because the service is amazing. And even right down to getting my watch repaired. No charge for the first couple of times, or tiny little things. And that sort of thing. Well, it's very nice of them to do that. I'll go back again, But then the service was great, and I might pay. Come on, I got to pay this time, Then someone says to you, do you know a really good watchmaker? Who are you going to think of straight away?
Right.
Bingo, and so he's right about that. Go on, Nell.
And one of the things that I was amazed at when me and Paul first started dating is his phone would ring at 6:30, 7 in the morning, and it'd be a client of his with a meltdown that happened when they woke up. And he was getting the phone call right when he woke up, and he's like, sorry, I have to take this. And
Right. So a meltdown at their business.
At their business,
and they call you on the phone. So you're 24/7,
Johnny on
365 reachable, are you?
Oh, I try to. I have work hours and business hours, but if somebody's having, most of my issues with my clients aren't urgent and critical.
No.
Right. But every once in a while, if it is, or if they're going into a meeting with an employee or a partner, and they need a check on their mindset, then I want to be available, and I want to give them a good ear.
So you're not so much there if there was bad PR, hit the press all of a sudden or something like that. Do you do that as well?
No, I don't do much. I do a lot of market strategy.
Cleaning up the mess type thing.
But we don't do a lot of PR, I would say.
No.
I'm happy to work with them and give them a guidance on that. I just look at their values. If I understand their vision of where they want to be, if I understand their purpose of why they're here, and I understand their core values, the rules that they abide by, and their non-negotiable rules of behavior, if I understand all that, I can usually help them solve a problem. And that's the trick to being a good coach. If I could teach them to solve a problem or look at an opportunity another way, they can then teach their staff to do the same thing with the same vetting system.
Okay.
And that's how, I coach them so they can coach their team, so that their team leaders then can coach their employees. So that's the coaching side of things, is teaching how to make better decisions with the information we have. And that's and that keeps going.
We've got about 10 minutes left, but I'd like to ask you, perhaps you've got a short story, but it's a success story to share. Can you do that without, or can you mention names or not names? Can you just give us a story around the perimeters, perhaps? Yeah,
I have... I think one of the most fun clients I have is working with somebody that has an entrepreneurial spirit, but they don't necessarily have the entrepreneurial background, right?
Okay.
And so they're a subject matter expert in something. So one of my clients is up the street here, Jennifer Parks. She owned a very little acupuncture clinic, right? One person and did acupuncture, and that's what the school usually kicks out. You go to acupuncture school, you start your own little clinic, and but she wanted more. She said, I have a vision here, and we worked through really identifying all the areas of her business and how could we scale this thing from a finance part, from a billing department, from a marketing department, from a aspect of how do we get more acupuncturists that are willing to work for her. So we laid out that plan, started moving it, and she's gone from probably a small clinic for $150,000, and this year she'll hit $1.5 million.
Wow.
And so that's and with eyes on multiple locations.
All right, you won me. I hope to God he's affordable, Sabrina. I tell you.
6 years, and that was
That's
within
pretty cool.
6 years.
That's very good. What is an entrepreneurial mastermind group? To your mind?
Yeah, in my mind, it's a group of business owners and entrepreneurs that get together once a month or so, and they share their struggles, they share their fears, they share their wins, their successes, and what they're looking for is help from peers. And so I have a couple of different groups of different size, like the small groups under 500,000. I'm going to put them in a little group together, and there's 15 of them.
Right.
And we're actually going to put 2 or 3 people on a hot seat. I'm going to run them through a process where we're going to identify that particular issue they're having. We're going to dive deep. They're going to talk about it, and then we're going to facilitate a discussion with everybody in that room, and they're going to walk out there with maybe 30 or 40 suggestions, but they're probably going to take 3 or 4 with them that are practical. So the idea is walking out with knowledge from your peers and then sharing your own knowledge.
Right.
So I have a few different groups. One's for businesses around 1 million, one's for smaller than that, and then one's for businesses that want to sell their business in a few years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're actionable results from the time you leave. You can actually put stuff into action, right?
And then the next month, they're responsible for getting us an update, and along the way, we're holding them accountable. They said they were going to let go of that person, and they were going to, whatever the commitment they made to me and the group and to themselves, we're going to follow up and make sure that, they did that, or why didn't they do that? So there's a lot of peer-to-peer commitments, because at the end of the day, most small business owners and CEOs, they're pretty lonely. They don't have a lot of other peers to talk to. They're working all day. They go home. So this is a chance for them to talk to peer-to-peer, not have to share stuff that's maybe not appropriate with their family or with their employees.
Well, it seems to me there's a lot of value that your clients would receive from a group such as that. What future services, if anything, you're going to be adding to Paul C. Bellows?
Well, the book will be coming out, and the idea with the book is really it's a curriculum, how to develop this living action plan. We're going to be building that an online curriculum for that, so that anybody in the world could get online, do it themselves, go through the curriculum, have a 2-3 page, because my business plans from this book aren't 20 pages that sit on a shelf, right? It's a 2 or 3 page business plan that they walk around and they laminate.
So you've got to work it. It's a book you read, but it's how do I explain it, Sabrina? It's like what? Doing
It's a walking you through the steps and processes as you do it, and you can highlight what you need to, and then as you go you go further, and then you get back and you can look back and say, what have I done? And then where do I need to go from here? Okay. And it's a step-by-step.
A jigsaw, what I was thinking of, or puzzles, trying to figure it out as you go. And you're there on the phone. People can always contact you, and if they need help with that, this is what you're doing. I want to ask you, how do you base your fees as an individual, consultant, coach?
Yep.
You've got a lot to offer. You must deal with Fortune 500 companies and tiny little lady up the road with those needles that get stuck into you.
I think I focus mostly on small, medium-sized businesses just because that's what I enjoy, and that's my passion. And I like working with the owner. I like working with the team. So that's and that's a lot of fun for me. So my business motto is that most of my clients are working with me, and they're paying a set monthly retainer, and they have access to me in meetings for, let's say 4 hours a month. And we're going to meet, we're going to do homework, we're going to talk about, areas you're challenged with and ways that we could maximize your talent. So there's
that's a good idea. I like that idea because there's somebody there virtually all the time with you, going along the ladder with you. And it's not like you go once, it's all, there it is, jam it in your head, see you later.
Yeah, I haven't found that motto successful. My motto is, most of my clients with me now are with me 4 or 5 years. So we're really working hard at building that. And, obviously you get close to people and you build relationships, and I become part of their executive team, if you will. So there's a monthly fee of $1,000 to $1,500 a month for so many hours with me. And then there's different fees if they want to do a planning retreat, or, they want to do a specific campaign that just takes a month or two. But most of my clients are in it for the long term and really trying to build their business and trying to do it the right way, and find ways of making more profit, but also having better clients, better employees, better relationships with their strategic partners and themselves.
Better life overall, by the sounds of things, Sabrina. And, it sounds fantastic. You know what I think the fun would be is for you is when you see the work coming out, the success coming through of working with that particular individual, that CEO, and his company's now gone from there to there, and now it's gone to there. And boy, hey, things are happening here. Must be exciting for you to be part of that.
It's exciting and very fulfilling because you can see them grow in so many ways, right? Their business savviness grow, but their maturity as a leader and as a person. So I personally can't find anything more fulfilling myself. I think it's the most awesome feeling in the world to see somebody grow a business and thrive with it, and maybe even sell it or do something else.
Right.
My customer I was just mentioning, Jennifer Park, she just spent a month traveling. And so she has a crew that can run her business while she travels.
Well, that's the perfect wish, isn't it? That you can take time off and go away and rely on people.
Yep.
But that's part of the reason why you start your own business and entrepreneurs have the drive that they have, is because they eventually want to do these things for themselves.
Eventually, yes.
Yeah.
And is there anything else for you, Sabrina, that you want to do on your bucket list maybe you haven't done as yet? Career-wise. I can't hear you.
I'm growing up still.
Right.
And I'm trying to find my special spot of things to do.
Okay.
I helped start a business called Final Answer. It was the first USDA certified organic pesticide. I was not the inventor, but I was part of the company, and it's a great pesticide. I wish I had had someone like Paul around when I had gotten involved in this business.
Right.
There's so many things to know that an entrepreneur such as myself doesn't understand about business, and getting involved and making a business work takes so much time, energy, effort, mental exercise.
Well, you never stop thinking about it.
In a team. You need a team and
of positive people around you and of working together. It's amazing.
Yes.
Well, I think you're ideally suited for each other. It's lovely that you have such a wonderful rapport, travel together, work together.
I've lived a lucky life.
I had that with my wife.
Getting luckier here.
I was very, very fortunate. My wife worked with me, and we traveled a fair bit in our previous companies that we did. But she's retired now. I was retired, but I've come back into the workforce.
Well, we're glad to see you and glad you've come back.
Yes.
I enjoy helping people too, like you, and I get a thrill out of watching. I mean, I've just had a couple of new clients come on board, and they are so successful in what they're doing in tough businesses through having their own show and through listening to my guidance and what I'm teaching them. And I get a buzz out of that because it sure ain't the money, I'll tell you, that's for sure. Paul C. Bellows, ladies and gentlemen, today with Tucson Means Business. More than ever does he mean business. And you can contact him now. You've got a website?
I do have a website, paulcbellows.com.
And on this particular site, Tucson Business Radio X, you go to the latest show of Tucson Means Business, the banner. You click on that and you'll come across this episode with Paul C. Bellows. And now I'm going to get a shot of you too, Sabrina. You know that we've got to get you on there as well. We can't have you as the phantom. You're the brain. Behind every successful man, Paul. You know the saying. Right.
Well, I got to look. I have Sabrina, so absolutely.
Well, that's it. There's behind every successful man, there's a great woman. Did you know that?
And behind every successful woman is a great man.
No, okay.
This is so
balance.
true.
Nothing like balance. And it'll have all these details, all his links, social media links and so on, and you'll be able to have a good look at his photo and so on, all right? Very friendly guy, and by all means, you can call him direct and speak. He's not hard to get hold of, and he returns his calls quickly. Capital Q. I like that. All right. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you for inviting us today.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Sabrina,
Thank you.
lovely meeting you. Goodbye now.
Take care.